Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today we're taking a closer look at a company you might be hearing more about, N2OFF, ticker NITO.
Right, and this exploration is really for you, someone who wants to get up to speed quickly, but also, thoroughly see different angles, maybe have a few aha moments without getting bogged down.
Exactly. You shared some info on N2OFF, and we're here to sort of pull out the key insights.
We've got a bit of everything, company basics, what they've been up to, financials, potential good and bad points, market views.
So let's break it down. First off, who exactly is N2OFF?
Well, they used to be called Safe Foods. Now they operate as a clean tech company.
Clean tech.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean for them?
It means they're focused on sustainable agri-food tech, dealing with greenhouse gases, specifically nitrous oxide, and also solar projects. It's kind of a mix.
A mix, right? Sustainable agriculture and renewables.
Pretty much making food greener and tapping into solar energy.
Got it. And how are they set up? You mentioned subsidiaries.
Yeah, there's Safe Foods, which focuses on treatments for fruits and veggies after harvest. Then N2OFF, that's the nitrous oxide mitigation part.
Okay.
And they also have a joint venture in solar with Solterra Renewable Energy. They're doing projects in Italy, Poland, and Germany.
So digging into that food side, what's the core idea there? Eco-friendly treatments.
That's the main thrust. Developing green treatments for the food industry. The big goals are enhancing food safety and, importantly, reducing waste.
How do the treatments help with waste?
By cutting down on the need for pesticides, they're aiming for, cleaner food and less spoilage, more sustainable all around.
Makes sense. Okay, so what's been happening with them recently? Any big news?
Yes, quite a bit, actually, especially on the renewable energy front. Back on March 5th, they announced a pretty significant investment.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Up to $4.4 million going into battery storage projects. These are in Germany and Italy. It definitely signals a stronger push into energy storage.
4.4 million euros.
Yeah.
That's a serious move. Anything else catching attention?
Well, their stock price certainly did. On May 2nd, specifically.
What happened there?
It's a huge intraday surge, over 21%. It closed the day at $0.283. But the really striking thing was the range it traded in.
How wide were the range?
It swung between 0.237 and 0.393. That's what, a 65.75% difference between the low and high for the day. Pretty dramatic volatility.
Wow. Yeah, 65% a day. Did trading volume pick up too?
Oh, massively. It jumped to around 74 million shares traded. The total value was about $20.92 million, much higher than usual.
Was this surge completely out of the blue, or is there some buildup?
There was some momentum leading into it. In the 2 weeks before that May 2nd jump, the stock had already gained almost 29%.
Okay. So maybe some growing interest beforehand.
It suggests that, yeah, potentially driven by retail investors, maybe some speculative trading picking up steam before the big spike.
So with all that activity, how's the market reading the situation now? What are the indicators saying?
Well, the technical indicators are flashing some caution signals, largely because of that recent volatility we just talked about. The technical outlook is often described as bearish right now.
Bearish meaning potential for the price to drop.
Generally, yes. It suggests more skepticism than optimism based on recent price action.
And is there a broader market sentiment measure we can look at?
The Fear and Greed Index is at 39. That falls into the fear zone. So it points to a degree of nervousness or uncertainty around the stock.
Okay, fear. What about valuation? Is the current price maybe too high?
That's a valid question. There are some concerns there. It's trading at a slight premium, about 4.53% compared to some short-term forecasts.
What are those forecasts suggesting?
Around 0.279 DONS by June. So trading above that might indicate it's a bit overvalued, at least according to those models.
And technically?
Yeah.
What's the trend picture?
It's described as being in a very wide and falling trend. Technical analysts suggest that if it can't stay above that $1.28 level, there could be more downside pressure.
That huge swing on May 2nd. Does it hint at who might be driving the trading?
It certainly raises possibilities. That kind of extreme volatility, paired with the massive volume spike, often points towards significant involvement from individual retail traders.
It's like momentum chasing.
Could be. Or maybe reactions driven by online discussion. It has some characteristics sometimes seen in, what people call meme stocks, where social sentiment plays a big role, though we don't know for sure here.
Interesting comparison. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and look under the hood. What about the company's financial health? How are the numbers looking?
The latest earnings report showed a loss per share of $0.89.
Still a loss then?
Yes, but here's the context. The previous year, the loss was much larger, $5.43 per share. So while they're not profitable, the loss has narrowed significantly.
Okay, so improvement, even if still negative. What about top-line revenue?
Over the last 12 months, the revenue figure is $210,000.
210,000.
Yeah.
And the earnings per share for that full 12-month period?
That matches the latest report, the trailing 12 months, or TTM, EPS is negative 1,089 cents.
Right. With negative earnings, I assume a standard PE ratio isn't very helpful.
Exactly. Price to earnings ratio isn't applicable here. You need positive earnings for it to be a meaningful metric for valuation.
Got it. Are they paying out anything to shareholders, like dividends?
No, there's no dividend yield reported. That's pretty typical for companies that are either investing heavily in growth or, like N2OFF, are currently running at a loss and reinvesting essentially to cover operations.
And how does the stock's movement compare to the overall market? Is it more jumpy, less jumpy?
It's definitely more jumpy. The beta is 1.66.
Okay, what does 1.66 mean in simple terms?
A beta over 1 means it tends to move more than the market. So 1.66 suggests it's about 66% more volatile than the broader market average. It magnifies market swings, both up and down.
Okay, 66% more volatile. And finally, the bottom line for the last year. Overall profit or loss?
They've reported an ongoing net loss. For the trailing 12 months, that net loss comes in at around $5 million.
$5 million loss. That's definitely a key figure to keep in mind.
Absolutely. It's a crucial red flag when assessing the financial picture.
So let's try to pull this together. Thinking about the potential risks and rewards, what are some of the main concerns or red flags?
Well, that ongoing net loss of $5 million is probably top of the list. There's also a dependence on their subsidiaries, Safe Foods and N2OFF for their core operations.
So as those units struggle, the whole company feels it.
Right. And then, as we touched on, the stock's technically bearish trend right now and the potential for it being overvalued based on some metrics, those are risks too.
Okay. On the other side of the coin, what are the strengths? What's the potential upside here?
The innovative approach is a big one. Reducing pesticide use, tackling greenhouse gases with things like their Save Protect or Per-Row-Star tech for produce. That's addressing real market needs.
Extending shelf life, less spoilage.
Exactly. And that diversification into renewable energy, those battery storage projects, that aligns very well with EU decarbonization goals. It could be a significant growth area.
What could act as a catalyst to maybe push the stock higher in the future?
Successful rollout and operation of those battery projects is a major one. That could really diversify their revenue away from just agri-tech.
Makes sense.
Also, any increase in demand for safer food, less chemical use, whether driven by consumers or new regulations, that would directly benefit their core safe foods tech.
And the potential downsides.
Yeah.
What could hold them back or cause problems?
Well, simply failing to sustain the stock price gains is a risk, especially after such volatility. Small cap growth stocks like this can also be really sensitive to interest rate changes.
Right, borrowing costs and things like that.
Plus, competition. In renewables, they're up against huge players. In agri-food tech, there are established firms too.
Who are some of the competitors?
In renewables, think NextEra Energy, Tesla, big names. In agri-tech, companies like Indigo Ag, Bayer Crop Science, Corteva are major forces.
And other risks.
Regulatory hurdles are always a possibility, especially with food contact chemicals. And given the losses, potential liquidity concerns, just having enough cash could be an issue down the line if things don't turn around.
So how does N2OFF really stack up against others in these fields?
They're playing in both agri-food tech and clean energy, which is interesting. That specific focus on cutting chemical use and nitrous oxide could be their unique angle, their edge.
But they lack the scale of the big guys.
Definitely. They just don't have their resources or market presence of the large agricultural chemical giants, for instance.
Are there any smaller companies that might be somewhat comparable, just for context?
The material we reviewed mentioned potentially looking at other small-cap ag-tech firms.
Yeah.
Names like AppHarvest or Benson Hill came up. But it's crucial to remember their business models might be quite different, so it's not a perfect comparison.
Okay. So, looking ahead, what are the key things to watch for N2OF's future? Potential triggers, positive or negative?
On the positive side, successful commercialization of those eco-friendly treatments could be big. Further expansion in solar and battery projects, and any favorable regulatory shifts supporting their kind of tech.
And the challenges they need to navigate.
Intense market competition, definitely. Potential changes in regulations that could go against them. And just the fundamental challenges of scaling up their operations and ultimately achieving profitability, that's the big hurdle. So wrapping things up, N2OFF is, well, an interesting case. You've got this clean tech company with a foot in sustainable ag and now, more significantly, in renewable energy.
And that recent stock volatility really highlights that the market is paying attention, right? Even if the underlying financials, like that net loss, are still a concern.
Absolutely. The move into battery storage could be a really pivotal moment, offering diversification. But as we said, it throws them into a very competitive space.
So for you listening, this look reveals a company with, let's say, innovative potential, but also pretty considerable risks tied to its current finances and that volatile stock behavior.
Which really leads to the core question for you, doesn't it? Does that potential in green technology, in both food and energy, outweigh the current financial hurdles and the risks we've discussed? It's definitely a story that's still unfolding.
Indeed. If you found this exploration valuable and you'd like more analyses like this where we unpack companies' situations, please do subscribe, like, and comment.
Yeah, your feedback really helps us figure out what kind of deep dives are most helpful and interesting for you.